Ready, set, art. So what you're going to make is a collage triptych of the three different face views: 3/4, front, and side profile. And you could see, if you had to guess of how this was made, really you're just taking a bigger piece of paper, collaging a bunch of pieces on, letting that dry, letting the glue dry, and then you divide it up by 3, cut it up, draw your faces, and then glue it onto a bigger background so it creates that triptych type look. All right, I'm going to take this a moment to put it to the side so I can show you how it kind of starts. So in this case, you're going to take 2 pieces of paper, put a little piece of tape in the middle, just like this, and then you take little pieces of paper, with your glue stick and glue them down. Now, as in colored paper wise, I used 4 sheets. 4 sheets. So that's how I was able to cover this whole chunk. And you can see from here, it almost has this zebra-like pattern feel to it. You want them to have some areas that are thin and some areas that are nice and big. Okay. Now, if you know anything about the size of paper, you know that it's 8.5 by 11. Therefore, when you put it together like this, it's going to be 17 by 22. 17 by 22, right? Oh, I'm sorry. I mean 11 by 22. 11 by 20. I'm sorry. 11 by 17. That's what makes more sense. 11 by 17. Now, 17, it's hard to divide by 3. So what we're going to actually do, once we have the pieces all collaged, is we go ahead and trim 1 inch off one side, another inch off another side, and then you have 15 inches going this way, and then you could just divide it up by 3 that way. So let's get started on that. I was on a stool because I'm so short. Okay, so here's my little trusty ruler, right? There's 12, okay? Kind of hold that mark. And there's the 5, so that means it's at 17 inches. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to trim off. I kind of like this part. Do I want 2 inches off this side? I think I could just do 2 inches off one side. It kind of gets rid of this cool shape, but that's okay. So I'm going to make a mark here. Now, does that mean I just go ahead and do that? No, because you might accidentally hold the ruler this way and then you have this weird crooked line, right? So I'm going to go ahead, 2 inches from that side, mark here. Oops, found my other mark. See, this is why it's so important that way it doesn't come out crooked. Make a very light line, which I did, and I'm going to trim that part off. Sometimes demonstration-wise, I'm sure you wish this would go a little faster, but I can only go so fast. All right, put that to the side. Now you see these extra little pieces here, so I'm just going to flip that over and trim those pieces off. So as I was putting the pieces, I didn't always exactly try to fit the whole thing on a piece. I just tried to see how it would look as I placed them down to see what was best. And then because I knew I was going to trim the excess off. See, that's a little cleaner. Get that part off. And it looks like I got to trim some of this off. I guess it would, yeah. Sometimes it's hard to trim, right? If it's just a little sliver like that. But I am determined to get it nice and clean. All right. So there is my main collage piece. And you may think, well, can't I just draw the faces from here? No, it won't come out right. So I'm going to go ahead and measure every 5 inches. Right, every 5 inches. There's a mark. On the 0, now not on the edge. See, there's that little line for 0. 5, and look, it stopped at the 10. So I know I measured it correctly. I'm going to start at the same side here. Again, I use not the very edge of the ruler. I start where the 0 is. Does that make sense? Now that I have my marks on both sides, I'm going to go ahead and make a light line. I don't want to have to erase too much later because I've already glued the paper down. And we're going to use something called graphite transfer to transfer your rough drafts onto here. So that way you don't have to constantly erase on your colored paper and have all these little mistakes everywhere. Okay, I'm ready to cut my triptych up. There we go. Almost there. First triptych. And if pieces start to do this, go back with your glue. Remember, that was part of getting your supplies. You had to get glue. That and the Sharpies. Okay, they have thin Sharpies and thicker Sharpies. Okay. All right. I'm going to erase my little pencil marks that I had there before. Right? I don't want them in my final. Do I have any here? Yes, I do. Okay. And my little mark there. All right, so now I have it. And if you want to flip them around at this point because maybe you like it a certain way, you can do that type of stuff. All right. This is going to be used as my background later. So this is kind of why it was important to go ahead and cut some off. And you can see it's already at this point. So I think what I can do now is I'm just going to trim about 1/2 inch off so that it fits from each side. Okay. Almost there. You could do this on every single sheet. Although I might be strong enough to get this figured out. So I'm taking off 1/2 inch from each side so that I can have a nice border when I'm done. Now, if you're thinking, why can't I have just started with my background like that to begin with? I think it's harder personally because once you have it taped together, these two pieces, to figure it out, it really is kind of a pain. So I didn't want to do that. All right, so really, once you have this, you can just go on here and use it as a guide to cut the other pieces, right? See, it almost acts like a ruler. So I'm just going to go like this, go like that. Do the same to the other piece. Okay. Cut that off. If you accidentally did it crooked, you could always go back and trim it. One more piece. Okay. Last cut. Awesome. Okay. There we go. So now let's look how it would look. I mean, let's go preview. That's probably a better way to say it. All right. I like it. I think because this is so blue, this one will go in the middle. All right. And then this will act as my base for my face drawing. So I'm going to move this to the side. I'm going to start with my side profile piece. I'm going to put this here and look at my side profile. So here's my side profile. And look how big I drew it. Why? Because I want it to extend to at least 3 sides of the paper, or even go off in 4 directions, right? So what do I mean by that? So look, this one, the eye's going off this side, this one's going off this side, the neck goes off, and so does the hairline. That's 4 sides. This one here, if you look at it, the forehead goes off, here's this part going off, the chin goes off, the nose we still see. Okay, so we're trying to have it extend off the piece. So it's different than usual. This is what we call more central of a composition. We're changing it up where we're cropping it. We're cropping it. Okay, so in order to get this image on here, we're going to use something called a graphite transfer. What is a graphite transfer? It's when you already have your sketch. Okay, I don't want to transfer every line. I'm just going to transfer the lines I need. want on there. And you shade the back. So all you do is you take your pencil, and it is easier with a regular number 2 pencil than, say, a mechanical pencil. You'll sit there forever with a mechanical pencil doing this, okay? And you would shade the whole thing. And then when you're ready, you put it in where you think you want it. I think I want it right there. That's a good spot. Okay, so I hold it there. If it helps, you can put a little piece of tape. Then you press the sketch where you want it to transfer. So see how I'm making that really, really dark, because I'm trying to push the graphite from the other side onto the paper. Onto the paper. For demonstration purposes, I'm not going to do the whole thing. I just wanted you to get the idea of what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going to test it out. Let's see if I did it. Yay! It's there. I know it's hard to see, but if you look, there's a very light transfer of the image. And that way, when I go to ink, I just go ahead and ink right on top. What does inking mean? I know it's funny when people hear inking, because when you're a college art student, you don't really say pen, you say ink. So yes, you would use your pen to go back and outline and shade a little bit where it's darker. As a finished piece, I want to see 3/4 view, front view, side profile, and see how it extends off the pages. To review how that gets started, how do we get started? We start with 2 pieces of paper with a little tape. Then we take our little collage papers. That means I just sat there and I ripped the 4 pieces of paper. Now you may wonder, well, how many colors can I use? Please stick to 2. It's so much easier. And the other thing I want you to consider with color choices is light and bright. If you use 2 dark colors, such as blue and purple, you're going to have a really hard time seeing that ink. So you want light or bright. Light and bright. Okay? So you glue all of your pieces down. Once you've done that, you're going to cut your paper. You want it to be 15. Okay? So you kind of take this, right? 12, make a mark. Go to 3, right? Because 12 plus 3 is 15. Cut it off. Cut that trim off. And then you notice once I had that, I needed to trim 1/2 inch off on each side. Then you get another piece of 2 pieces of paper, I would say dark in this case for the background. There's that tape. And when you finish doing all of the inking, glue your backs. Arrange so it's nice and equal. You don't want it to look like this, right? You want to make sure there's nice, even spacing. Glue it down. Finish with ink or pen after you've done your graphite transfer. I hope this helped you to figure out how to do collage transfer, the collage triptych. Thank you and good luck.